What's up, guys? So, what are the best opportunities in crypto right now? And there's a few things that seem like they've primarily went through the boom and bust cycle, but it has not long tailed out. And I've mentioned Digibyte before. I've mentioned, you know, various other ones. Hive has actually kind of went through its boom and bust cycle. Again, hasn't long tailed out. And one of the things that I actually look at is the steam back dollar. Usually the steam back dollar has to fall under a dollar. Again, it's supposed to be essentially worth $1 worth of steam. It's a debt instrument against the value of steam. It usually has to fall below a dollar, and that is one of my indicators to know we're being pressed really hard. So when steam back dollar ends up falling to 90 cents, it falls to 70 cents, whatever, and things look really, really bad, and we're in a major capitulation event, then that is my indicator that we could be close to the bottom. Now, other people use various other indicators, um, and it's been very, very hard to track. And some of these cycles may be smoothing out. You're not going to catch absolute bottom. You're not going to catch absolute top. So, will the DeFi stuff go away? You see, Cake is worth under $3 thereabouts. You see various other things just really just get just crushed. And is it a time to buy in? Well, the issue is if you buy into that and you're trying to earn the return off of it, it's just, it's kind of like you always end up in this situation. Just because Cake has went to $3 doesn't mean it can't go to 150, doesn't mean it can't go to 50 cents, so on and so forth. And same thing for Bitcoin. It's, say it falls below 20,000 here, which it has. That doesn't mean it can't fall to 15,000, 12,000. It doesn't mean that it can't even fall below 10,000. Now, do I think that's unlikely? That is probably unlikely for a couple reasons. There's too many people that are going to go off of the premise that, the last two cycles it's fallen 85%. It's lost 85% of its value from the peak. Well, off of 69,000, that's pretty much 10,800. So, these buy points aren't that bad, but I just think you're going to have more time. And the more time you tie up this money and you're just waiting for capital appreciation, it's not really working for you, that could be losing you money, just in the meantime that you're waiting. You're playing this huge waiting game. So, and then, with the recent UST situation, with the Terra Luna situation, that was a precarious situation because the people that tried to chase after that end up in a bad situation because if they were providing liquidity stablecoin to stablecoin, and then obviously UST just vaporized, and then obviously everybody gets worried about this other stuff, and then the Celsius thing happens, so people start pulling their money off of BlockFi, they start pulling their money off of other various platforms where they're maybe earning a return because it's like, well, it's not worth it, it's not worth the risk of this particular platform. The contract risk isn't worth it on a lot of these DeFi platforms. As the return gets lower and lower and lower, it's like, well, I'm not going to risk this for like 2% or 3% or 5%. It's not worth it. So people can start getting worried. They take it off of those. They kind of sit around on it. Over time, people need the money, so they could get pressed out. They have to sell this or that, and this just kind of perpetuates itself. I think it's going to perpetuate itself, clear through the summer and the fall. And really, a lot of the hype and a lot of the excitement around crypto has to really kind of like vacate before this can really kind of play itself out. So right now, I would say some of the opportunities, if you're maybe looking at various different projects, if they are engaged in social media, or it seems like this is some kind of new hype around something coming up. And I would say, let's just say on a high level, let's say Ethereum, they're probably going to merge the beacon chain around August, so it will turn a proof of stake. I think there will be some level of kind of like a little hype pump before that happens. Now, I think it's going to be a non-factor for the most part when it happens, because by the time it does happen, it's like, well, what's it going to be? It's going to be basically the Binance Smart Chain or any of these other, EVM chains, that have been operating, at that speed and with that functionality for a year and a half, already, kind of by the time Ethereum does it. So it's almost like Ethereum just be playing catch up, and I just think it's going to be a very short time cycle boost. The other one to look out for is Litecoin. So Litecoin will have its halving event here coming up. Um, pretty much in 2023. No, is that right? Um, I feel like Litecoin. I'm gonna have to look at that again because 2019. Yeah, it'd be 2023. I'm gonna have to double check on that, but yeah, Litecoin will have its halving event. Obviously, you're prior to Bitcoin, but I didn't look at that again, so don't quote me on that. But just things like that, I would say like, look out for various different events that are going to be coming up that are kind of newsworthy or something that people are going to get kind of hyped about, and then try to play on that hype, and then obviously before it happens, if you kind of scale back out of it, because again, buy the rumor, sell the news kind of thing. Especially in these down times, it's not going to have as much legs to like really kind of push it hard. Now, another thing that's going to happen is there's going to be various iterations of the mouse traps that we've seen before. When I say mouse traps, some way to get your Bitcoin, some way to get your Ethereum, so on and so forth. And it's going to be some sort of yield earning mechanism that people are going to kind of chase after, whether that be something like DeFi, like NFTs. It'll be something like that, but it's some kind of gamified thing that is meant to tempt you to try to get more coins or try to stack more coins and end up with more value. And ultimately, a lot of people lose at these games. But there will be some other enticing thing. It's like we see, different play and different iteration of various mechanisms, every single cycle. And it seemed like, one iteration of it was kind of the blogging platforms and stuff in the 2016, 2017 timeframes with, Steam, and then ultimately like kind of like Hive and various other clones of that. And then kind of the next set of thing was, DeFi farms. And it's just like people are kind of chasing these DeFi farms, and it's like they're cloned so many times, it's replicated and replicated and replicated. So there will be different iterations of that kind of a thing. It's gonna like get people to chase. So keep your eyes out for stuff like that. That is something that is audited, and it's there is something that it is backed by code, and that it's audited by like Surtech or these various different rug doctor, stuff like that, and you're like looking at that kind of stuff. So there's going to be future iterations of that to kind of keep a lookout for. And then a lot of people are just going to turn their backs, going to stop talking about crypto. And for the most part, I'm not making a lot of videos because the only real guidance I can give on a lot of this stuff is that we've got a lot more time for this to play out. Unless there's some sort of black swan event that would kind of cause people to just sort of like chase back in to these into these different crypto investments and stuff like that. It's going to take time to play its way out, and people are going to get pressed out for it to regain its footing. So the thing is, you don't want to be in the needle in a haystack scenario where you're kind of chasing after these ones, and you're like, this has a lot of potential, but the whole market is going down. So you're working against the grain so much. So I would say a lot of it is kind of wait and see, and not allocating a lot of capital to it. And again, the X factor is Dogecoin right now because of Elon and the Twitter situation and all that kind of stuff like that. And he is constantly like talking about it and bringing it back up and stuff like that. But even that, there's so many people, unsophisticated investors that bought into Dogecoin, they're still getting pressed out because they have daily expenses, and the whole overall market is pulling everything down and sucking everything down. So not that like 5 cents is a bad price, but it doesn't mean that it can't go to 2.5 cents. It doesn't mean that it can go to 1 cent. So keep that in mind. If you are building positions, it could take a multi-year effort for you to build positions in these huge capitulation events, or maybe catch a little bit of a swing trade here and there. But it is dangerous. It takes a long time. And when you look at this stuff on a macro level, what's really going to change, or what has improved on all these chains, and for the most part, there's little to no improvement on a lot of this stuff. It's like a better mousetrap. It's not a technological improvement a lot of times. It's just a new twist on how to get your bitcoins, how to get your Ethereum and stuff like that. And it's a very, very intoxicating game because, yeah, we want to make like, more money that's going to equate to more supercars, more vacations, more property, more, whatever. But that being said, it's like with something like Bitcoin, it's going to be, obviously like harder and harder and harder over time for people to accumulate one Bitcoin. But over time, the network's just going to continue to get more bogged down and stuff like that. And I just don't see these technical like adaptations like Lightning network and various other mechanisms and stuff. It just seems like every cycle, then you're paying huge high fees again. It's just like, really, are we going through this again? Like, and suddenly you realize if you've been around a while that Bitcoin worked better in 2013 than it really does, in, obviously, especially like 2021. Right now we've kind of calmed down, so network fees be lower and stuff like that. But again, why are we still dealing with this? We shouldn't be. So that being said, don't fall in love with these crypto investments. Use it as a tool to move in and out of other investments, whether that be, cars, whether that be properties, whether that be, whether that be land and various other, trips, experiences, stuff like that. Anyway, guys, follow me on all social media at Brian Phobos, YouTube, Instagram, Steam, and Twitter, Hive, everywhere else. See you guys.